My daughter is pregnant. How do I tell her that our older daughter is actually her biological mother? So I, 53 male, and my wife, 53 female, had our older daughter Sarah, 31 female, when we were 22. We were young and broke, but managed, and now we raised Sarah the best we could. She got pregnant at 15. It was a very depressing time for her. She had to go to therapy and never told us anything about the father, which always upset her, so we never pushed the issue. She originally wanted to terminate, but kept canceling and eventually told us she wanted to give her up for adoption. But 5 months into the pregnancy, when she was discussing with a social worker for a couple to adopt, the couple dropped out of the adoption. After trying to find more couples, Sarah asked us if we wanted to adopt. Rose and I were both 30 at this point, and we both had been discussing having another child. So we ended up adopting our daughter Ellie when Sarah had her at 16. 2 years after Ellie, me and my wife had our son Logan, 13 biologically. Growing up, we always planned to tell Ellie she was adopted, but we knew with telling her that, we had to tell her Sarah was her bio mother. Sarah never became close with Ellie, not even as her sister. She moved out after the birth and lived with my wife's sister. She has always shown sisterly love to Logan, but never towards Ellie. There has always been conflicting feelings with Sarah. I have seen posts on Sarah's Instagram where she posted a picture of what was supposed to be the 5 of us, but Ellie was cut out. I confronted her about this and she says it's too painful. However, a couple of years ago, she showed up drunk, begging us to let her see her daughter. We talked to her and let her stay, but did not let her near Ellie since she was drunk. We found out from her husband that she had suffered several miscarriages and was told to consider a surrogate. She ended up doing that 4 years ago and has since had twins, Jack and Jill. Oh my God. She ended up doing that 4 years ago and has since had twins, Jack and Jill, 3 years old, who are biologically hers. Ellie has loved being an aunt to the twins, and Sarah has encouraged this with Ellie, and has been inviting Ellie over to her house for family time with Logan, who loves being an uncle. We have asked Sarah that in light of the twins and Ellie being close to them, wouldn't it be time to tell Ellie the truth, but Sarah keeps claiming she is not ready. Recently, Ellie came to us and told us that she is pregnant. This time, it is a completely different situation. We have met the father, he is a childhood friend of hers, and they decided they wanted to lose their virginities to each other. We had the talk with Ellie long ago, as we did with Sarah. We approached the situation calmly and have since met with the father and his parents. Ellie is insistent on keeping the baby. She's 3 months along. We have not told Sarah yet, and we do not know how to approach the situation. We don't know how she'll be able to take it. My wife and I are considering telling Ellie the truth, but we need Sarah to be there. Well, I decided to just focus on helping out Ellie, who is 4 months pregnant. We didn't want to stress her out by telling her about the adoption yet. In fact, we know we should have already told her a long time ago, despite Sarah's emotions on the matter. It's not like we even knew the details on Ellie's father, so that would have been Sarah's talk. But we, as Ellie's parents, still should have told her the truth when she was younger. Ellie told family about the pregnancy. She has since told my parents, her boyfriend's grandparents, and then of course, she told Sarah. Sarah didn't react well, but told her she would support her. Of course, Sarah reached out to us after, very upset, but said she was ready to talk to Ellie. First about the adoption with us, and then said that she wanted to tell Ellie about her father alone. We sat down and had the discussion. Ellie was of course upset, but calmed down after a while. She of course had questions about her father. Sarah had that discussion with her. At the time, I didn't know what was told, and it was none of our business. But Ellie told us she knows who he is and said she didn't want to reach out, so we moved on after that. The other day, I got a call from my sister-in-law Renee, 31 female, my brother's wife. She was angry and was asking what kind of sick idea was Sarah putting in Ellie's head. She started mentioning stuff about Ellie's adoption, so after I got her to calm down, she told me what happened. She claimed that Ellie had messaged my brother Ethan, 32, and told him about the adoption and wanted to talk to him. This confused me because me and Ethan don't talk much. We were never really close because we are 21 years apart. He was my mother's late child and he always got along with mine and our sister's kids as they were all around the same age. Ellie only saw him on the holidays, so telling him about the details in her life didn't make sense. Renee explained to me that Ellie claimed that Ethan was her father because that is what Sarah had told her and told him that he was going to be a grandpa. I had to sit down for a while. I called Sarah and we had a long conversation. She told me that yes, it was true that Ethan is Ellie's biological father. Sarah and Ethan were close when we were young and they were only 8 months apart. Sarah says that when they went through puberty, feelings changed and that every time she went to her grandmother's, they would hide away from everyone and have their own time. Sarah was upset talking about this, but told me that he never assaulted her and that it was always consensual. She never wanted to tell me because she was ashamed of the fact that the father of her baby was her uncle. I have since talked to Ethan as well. He denied it to Ellie over text, but told me it was true. We exchanged a few words back and forth. Even if this was consensual, how could he sleep with his own niece? He had all of these reasons, but I wasn't hearing it. He knew of the pregnancy and being Ellie's father the whole time, and he never even bothered to step up to say anything. I have talked to Ellie about it. She says she was upset when she found out, but she always thought she looked like my stepdad's side of the family. It upset me when she mentioned that because honestly, I see it. It's pretty obvious now. I knew that Ellie favored whoever her father was because she didn't look like anyone on our side. But I never suspected Ethan. My mother and stepdad have found out, and Ethan told Renee it was true. She has left with their kids to stay with her family. Ethan has tried to reach out to Ellie now, but I don't want her speaking to him. I'm still her father, and I don't think she is safe being in touch with him. Ellie has shown no interest in talking. I asked her why she reached out to him before talking to Sarah or us about it, and she said that she just wanted to know his side of the story, but feels betrayed for being lied to. Am I wrong for telling my husband that the only way I'll agree to a paternity test is if he schedules it? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 36 male, for 5 years. I'm currently 4 months pregnant. This wasn't a surprise pregnancy. We planned it and actively tried to get pregnant. So it came out of left field when a few weeks ago, my husband told me he wanted a paternity test. I asked him how or why he thinks I'm cheating on him. He said he didn't think I was, but that makes absolutely no sense. I asked him to explain how this child could not be his if he is the only person I've slept with and I didn't cheat on him. He had no answer for that. I was a mess for a few days afterward. Once I calmed down, I told him that if he wanted to get the test, he would have to schedule it and tell me where and when to be there. He asked me if I could be the one to make the appointment. I told him no. He is the one questioning the paternity, so he can make the appointment. He tried explaining again that he wasn't questioning paternity, he just wants to have reassurance. I told him I don't care anymore about his explanations, but if he wanted to have reassurance, he can do the legwork. He asked if I could at least find him a number for him to call, and I told him no. I still have no idea why he thinks I'm that kind of person. I haven't done anything to betray his trust, but it has been at least a week and he hasn't made any appointment, and last time I asked, he told me he was working on it. His sister came over this morning after he left for work and told me that she was told everything and that I need to just put him out of his misery and do the test. I told her I would take the test and he just had to schedule it. She told me I was being bitchy for not just making the appointment myself. But I am not the one who is questioning who's the baby's father. I don't think I should have to make the appointment, but I want to get an impartial opinion before he comes home today.
New details are coming out about a murder of a pregnant teen and her boyfriend. On December 23, 2023, a young pregnant 18-year-old named Savannah Soto goes missing just 1 week before she was supposed to give birth. Her mother had heard from her the day before, but got worried when she didn't reply the next day. When she checked her apartment, she was missing. A few days later, her body is found alongside her abusive boyfriend's, Matthew Guerra, 22. He had beaten her the previous year and she had a restraining order against him. They were both found deceased in a car in a parking lot of a San Antonio apartment building. Both victims had sustained gunshot wounds and her unborn baby was also pronounced dead at the scene. Their murders garnered worldwide attention, with tens of thousands of people following their developments online and over a dozen Facebook groups determined to help find their killer. So far, 3 arrests have been made in connection to their murder: a father, son, and a stepmother. Ramon Preciado, 59, Christopher Preciado, 19, and Myra Romanos, 47. It's believed that Christopher is the one who committed the murders. He's being charged with capital murder, but his father and stepmother helped hide the bodies and are being charged for multiple felonies such as abusing a corpse, tampering with evidence, and concealing a corpse. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Guerra had gone to Preciado's home to sell him tree on December 21st. According to Preciado, Guerra pointed a weapon at him when Preciado manipulated the weapon, resulting in Soto being shot. Moments later, Guerra pointed the weapon at him again, and Preciado told detectives that he once again manipulated the weapon, resulting in Guerra being shot. The medical examiner previously reported that Guerra had died from a wound to the head. Christopher Preciado is the sole killer in this case, but his father and stepmother helped him hide the bodies, and the weapon that was used was his stepmother's. Ramon Preciado admitted to detectives that he drove the pickup truck to the apartment complex to meet his son, which is seen on surveillance footage released by police. The critical piece of evidence that led them to the suspects was one of the victim's cell phones in the vehicle when they discovered Soto and Guerra's bodies. The phone had recently searched the address of the suspects on Google Maps, where detectives saw the Chevrolet pickup seen on the surveillance footage. Ramon Preciado's bail is set to $600,000 and Christopher's is $2 million. There are currently more pending charges for the additional death of Soto's unborn baby.
This is a little complicated, but I'll try to explain as best as possible. My 34 male, twin sister, 34 female, Layla, has been in a wonderful relationship with her wife, 34 female, Effie, for about 8 years. Shortly after they got married, they both very much wanted to start a family. After discussing their options, they came to a decision that a great way for them to conceive a child that's biologically both of theirs would be through IVF, using my sperm and Effie's eggs, with Effie carrying the baby. I was completely okay with that and more than happy to help them out. My own wife and I don't have or want kids personally, so there wasn't any subsidiary family drama to consider there, and with Lila being my twin, it just made sense. They literally could not get any closer to a traditional pregnancy as a couple. It was a success, and Lila and Effie now have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter, who unsurprisingly looks just like Lila. Everyone is thrilled about her. A few months ago, they decided they were ready to expand their family. They'd wanted 2 kids from the beginning, and they'd like the sibling to be fully biological. So Lila contacted me about donating sperm again, and of course I agreed. That is, until I found out that Effie can no longer safely carry a baby to term. Apparently, they've known about this since encountering complications during the first pregnancy. So instead, my sister would be the one carrying the baby, a baby that's technically mine. I immediately told her no, I'm not comfortable with that. I understand that her DNA would not be mixing with mine in any way, but something about it seems really off to me. I do not want to sit across from my pregnant sister at Christmas dinner knowing that... I do not want to sit across from my pregnant sister at Christmas dinner knowing that I put the baby inside of her. I don't want awkward situations like their kid exclaiming, "My mommy gave birth to me and my daddy is her brother." Lila is extremely upset, saying that I'm being selfish and close-minded and juvenile. Told me that I'm ruining what would be their perfect family and robbing their daughter of a full-blood sibling. There's absolutely no way they can afford the compensation fees and other costs of gestational carrier. Plus, they're now attached to the idea of them each having carried one sibling. So the only other option would be using a different sperm donor. In a way, I can absolutely see her side of things. I realize that I sort of am being juvenile. The only thing standing in the way of their dream is that I just can't shake the ewy incest vibes. Is it really such a selfish move that I can't just put my feelings aside and let them complete their family? For me, it's simply an uncomfortable thought, and for them, it's just a decision that affects their whole family and future. Just need some advice, I guess.
I was basically an accident. When I was born, my 5 siblings were already in their late teens to early 20s, and my parents were both 46. I was never abused in my childhood, but I was neglected and my entire family resented me. My parents didn't think they'd get pregnant again, but here we are. I was never looked after for by anyone and basically had to raise myself. No one ever played with me, spent time with me, or anything. They never bought me anything significant, it was always hand-me-downs. I realized this as I got older and I focused on myself. I thought that something was wrong with me because my siblings all received love and attention, so if I improved myself and did things for them, maybe they'd accept and love me too. I always got the best grades, made sure I did all my chores, always kept my room clean, and so on. However, nothing I did was ever good enough for them. We celebrated my father's birthday yesterday. My siblings and my mom wouldn't be around until we went out for dinner, so it was just me and him. I cooked him breakfast and lunch, did all the chores, and bought him a tie. I'm only 16 and on a budget. The most he came up with was a pathetic thank you. I could tell he wanted me to leave him alone, so I did. Finally, we all went out to dinner and they all had a good time while I sat in the corner ignored. This is how it usually is. When we got home, I broke down and started crying in front of them. For some weird reason, my mother-in-law really wants to go into our bedroom whenever she comes over. On one occasion, I followed her as she went upstairs. I was going to get something for my child as the bedrooms are upstairs, and she walked past the bedroom on the main floor and up the stairs behind it. She didn't hear me and I caught her walking straight into my room and rifling through bills on my dresser. She denied snooping, even though I had just watched her do it, and she said she was just going to use our bathroom because she couldn't find the other ones. She walked right past the one on the main floor and the other one in the upstairs hallway to go into our bedroom. Since that happened, I installed an exterior doorknob that requires a key on our bedroom door and one to the door to our office and spare bedroom. However, she's still always forgetting where the bathroom is and trying the bedroom and office door. This really ticks me off. My husband says that I just get annoyed at this because everything she does drives me crazy, and since we've put locks on the rooms we don't want her in, there really isn't a problem anymore. Well, over the holidays we had my in-laws over for dinner, and before they came I was searching for the bedroom keys. We hadn't used them in a while since we only lock the doors when my mother-in-law comes over. My husband told me that we didn't need to lock the doors since she wouldn't try to get into the rooms, and I insisted that she would because she loves to snoop. We went back and forth and decided to cover the doorknobs in super fine glitter to see if she'd try them. I did this once before, but my husband didn't believe me about that snooping to prove that she'd been in the rooms. Last time she ignored the glitter and we didn't say anything about it, but then my husband couldn't deny that she tried to snoop. So this time I covered the knobs in glitter, and for the office went a touch further and rigged a little folder of glitter over the door to the office before the in-laws came over. I left it one side unlocked, French doors, and it was set so if you walked into the room you would get covered in glitter. My husband goes out of his way to show his mom the main floor bathroom when they got here and specifically ask his parents and sister not to go upstairs. There's a baby gate so the kids can't get upstairs either. Well, guess who had to go to the bathroom and got covered in glitter and had it all over their hands and hair? She completely lost it and started screaming at me, so I yelled back, and now my husband is saying I went too far and that I'm an asshole. My mother-in-law also says that I'm an asshole, but my sister-in-law says I didn't do anything wrong and my mother-in-law deserved it for snooping. My father-in-law is Switzerland. Apparently her car is ruined now too because it's covered in glitter that she can't get cleaned up. Am I the asshole for setting a glitter trap to catch my mother-in-law trying to snoop?
Am I the arsehole for slapping my cousin after what he did to my cat? Story time. This all happened last night and I've just woken up to the biggest shit show ever. So me and my family have these monthly big meetups, and I have a cousin who we'll call Tom, who is the biggest brat ever. To say he's a pain in the ass is an understatement. So for the context, I'm not feeling too great. I'm struggling with a little bit of the food poisoning. So whilst all of my family were around, I just chilled in my room, played on my Xbox with my little kitten Penelope. But I'm just chilling, having a nice time, and Tom barges into my room and screams at me that he wants to play on the Xbox. And at this point, I would usually just allow it and let him have a go. But I was really in that I'm not taking no shit mood and told him to just get out my room. But apparently he wasn't having any of that. Next thing I know, he is stood at the side of my bed screaming full volume into my ear, at which point I just told him to fuck off. He turned around, went to walk out the room, then turned back at me and proceeded to kick Penelope against the side of the bed. And I don't really know what came over me. I got out of my bed so quick and slapped this boy across the face. And I told him to never touch my cat again or I'd do much worse. He ran down the stairs and I could hear him talking to my uncle. He was crying and being an overall little bitch. My dad came storming into my room and was yelling at me, telling me I was wrong for what I did. But that was when I reversed that and was like, he kicked the cat, Dad. Then my dad stopped, turned around and calmly walked down the stairs and then let rip. This morning I have woken up to many abusive and threatening messages from my uncle and my cousin, and it's now progressed to messages from unknown numbers as well. So what do you think? Am I the arsehole? Am I the arsehole for telling my disabled sister that she won't be getting any inheritance? Story time. So I have 4 siblings and my younger sister Amy is disabled. And because of this, my parents dedicated 100% of themselves to her. And they pretty much left the rest of us to fend for ourselves. Growing up, I was pretty much the main caregiver for all of my siblings because my parents were too busy with Amy. I would do all the chores, I would look after my siblings. And I should probably make it clear that Amy's disability does not stop her from doing anything. She's more than capable of doing everything herself. She doesn't require any extra care. She doesn't require 24 hours surveillance or anything like that. She is more than capable. But my parents have literally always spoiled her rotten and she's so rude. So my grandparents passed away a fair few years ago now and I inherited all of their money pretty much. I inherited about $6 million. The reason I received all of it and none of my other siblings did is because I was really the only one that gave a crap about them. My grandparents were very aware of how my parents treated us, so they didn't really talk to my mum. They very rarely spoke to her, so I got left it all. But at this moment in time, I haven't spoken to my parents for over 6 years. But recently, Amy started college and she burnt out her whole college fund in 4 months. Apparently designer bags were just more important than rent. I'm very aware that this makeup is coming very grey. I'm trying to fix it desperately. So for a little backstory and context, when my younger siblings started college, I helped with all of their college fees. I paid for pretty much everything. And my only sort of rule was that they did well. However, now that Amy is struggling, my parents ended up calling me out of nowhere and they demanded that I gave Amy some of my inheritance money to help her out through college. I ended the call with my mum by telling her that Amy was the only kid that they had in their mind for 18 years. Now they have absolutely no right to demand things from the kids that they literally abandoned. And naturally, I'm getting shit from everyone. So here is some little bits of information that may help you form a bit of a better opinion. I have no clue what Amy's disability actually is. My parents never told us, or they never told Amy either. And then when I asked my mum why she couldn't get any governmental help or funding, she said it's because they don't have a written diagnosis anywhere for Amy. I always remember my parents fighting about how they need to take her to different doctors because other doctors refuse to give her a diagnosis. And I'm not gonna lie, through writing this, I'm starting to now think if my sister is actually disabled. My uncle also gave me a call the other day and told me that they were thinking about starting a pregnancy rumour that was pregnant so that I would have to pay them, and then when I said I wouldn't do that, they said that they were going to turn around and say that, well, I'm someone that likes to hurt babies. So should I end up helping my sister or should I keep the money and keep putting it into my other siblings?